Okay, so now let's look at the side panel. We're going to clean the window. So I want to start with the window down. With this window, we're actually going to bottom load it or slide the bottom in. So what we'll do is just pop this back a bit, okay? And you know, there's different things you can use for wedges, but at the end of the day, whatever works. This is going to just hold that trim back a little bit. It's not going to damage the trim in any way. The same on that front edge. Okay, so now that that's popped back, you can see we've got really good access to slide the film down in there. So there's going to be no issues at all. We're not worried about the film getting caught up or anything like that. So that's good. That's ready to go. And we're going to clean the outside now. So it's important that we have this glass clean before we put our film on. So for the purpose of this, squeegee it off, and that's ready to go. We'll clean the inside, like it kind of defeats the purpose, I guess, because we're going to wind the window back up. But for now, we're just going through the cleaning from outside to inside. So with the blade, just across the top, you'll hear like a really high-pitched, like a light scrape noise. That's just hitting the top of the glass, which is where you want to be. I don't need to be going all over there. You're damaging the blade, and then obviously you're going to use that blade on the glass. So you just want to skim past it. You can wind it up a little bit, scrape down. Make sure you get right in the edges and across the bottom. As long as you pass over all of the glass, that's sort of what you want to do. There's no point doing little bits like this. I mean, it's just cleaning, so pass over all the glass with a big nice push like that. Okay, and that's clean, it's ready to go. We're going to cut it out and then install it. Okay, so now we're going to look at cutting the side window. So the technique we're going to use is the slide down or the bottom load. You'll probably find that this is the most popular. So when we cut out, it is a little bit different. So we've already cleaned that window. I'm going to give it a spray. Get the film. So depending on the supplier, usually the scratch coat will be, the backing sheet will be on the outside. Luma, it's on the other side, so just be careful. Also too, it's quite good to grip the film tight. If you don't, you're going to end up with a roll that's twice as big, but and you'll probably lose about the first 20 feet, so keep it quite firm. Okay, so now I'll lock that in, put this on, and just roughly cut it. If you've got a cutting bench, you know, or you're using templates, we just take a measurement, take it to the bench and cut it out. So for now, I want to overlap that bottom edge. If you have a bad factory edge, you can actually trim it, then slide the film down. But for now, we're going to just overlap it slightly, maybe 1/4 of an inch or something like that, a couple of centimeters. And a general rule for 99% of the windows with the back wind up, you'll cut the back edge and pull it back. And with the front, we're going to cut the front and pull it forward. So right now, this is a rear wind up. Just going to cut up the side there. Again, ripping out, not up. Okay. So just going to pull it back a little bit. And as you can see, I haven't locked it on yet because I've got to keep moving it. If I lock it on, I'm going to have to keep taking it back, spraying, putting it on, and repeating that process. So overlapped at the bottom, a little bit at the back. Going to find my edge here. And again, if you're not that confident with a knife, you know, it's just a template. We saw that before where we can lay up a template and trace around it or cut around it. There's a few different ways. So now that that's all cut out, or most of it, I'm going to lock this on, okay? So right now it's not going to move anywhere. That's perfect. And just lift this bottom edge, okay? Wind it down. By winding it down, that gives us a top edge that we can cut off. So we had covered before different, like whether you cut the edge and drop edge or something like that, or custom fit it. Custom fitting is the way to go, but while you're learning, this is much easier. It's about getting film on the glass, feeling better about yourself, getting paid for jobs, and then you can look at the highly skilled stuff. The knife skill is probably one of the hardest things to do, so don't beat yourself up if you can't shave. Jump on and follow the Korean tinner. His edges are amazing. They look like they come out of the factory. So he's a samurai master. That's it. So I'm not too worried about getting right in that edge because I can't, and here either. When we're cutting, got about 3 or 4 clicks out, pop it in. We're going at about a 45-degree angle and just lightly shaving, okay? Again, it's film, it's quite thin. We don't have to push really hard or gouge right into it. But that's it, okay? So now we know we can go to our board, neaten it all up, and then it's ready to install. All right, so now we're back over to our peeling board, or we're at our cutting bench. We've just got to neaten this up. What we want to do is round our top edges. We don't want any sharp points because once they go into the frame, it could peel back eventually. So just not a big rounded edge, but just something small that looks a little neat. Again, I usually just trim around my finger. To get to this bottom edge, I can always just flip it up here. Okay, and I guess in a shop, sometimes people are cutting out, so let me trim this. In a shop where they're doing hand cut, someone might be cutting the film out, a different person installing it, so it's really good to have like a standard that everyone does. So when we learned how to tint nearly 20 years ago, we would round our top edges, and on the bottoms we would dock them off or something like that. So we'd cut them at a 45. Okay, so I will cut that at a 45-degree angle. Same here, this is my bottom edge. Okay, so with this bottom edge, it's going to be down past the rubber so no one will see it. And also if you've got a sharp edge, it can try and peel back and crease or fold on itself. More so I guess on an older model, like an SUV or a 4-wheel drive, the windows were quite square. So if we rounded our top and we dock our bottoms, we just know that any way the window lands, we can always identify that's a bottom edge, that's a bottom edge, this must be our top. So again, on this it's pretty self-explanatory, but on some 4-wheel drives where they're quite square, I'd recommend just having a difference like this, so that way I've been doing this for 19 years, so every time I see that, I know that's the bottom edge. So again, I guess for best practices, especially working with us, I definitely recommend that you're going to do something like this so that everyone's on the same page. Okay, so now we're ready to install it. I want to start with the window a couple centimeters down or half an inch down, which that exposes that top edge. Okay, make sure we thoroughly dry it, and then we're going to squeegee from top to bottom. Again, overlapping all our squeegee strokes. Flush down, bottom, brush the side so any dirt or debris is out and out of the window. And again on that, so if you're looking at high-end cars and some of the European cars, just be careful how much water you put down there. It's just safer to err on the side of caution. With the general, Toyotas and stuff like that and Fords, it's pretty safe. You can put a little bit down there, but with the Europeans and high-end, just be a little bit careful with it. So now I'm going to grab the film and come back. Okay, so now we're ready to go. I'm just going to carry with one hand. There's a few different ways to do this. Obviously, in a real life setting, I'm not trying to leave the adhesive exposed any longer than I have to, but for now we're training, so it's just easier to talk this way. When I hold the film, I want to hold it with my hands facing down. I don't want to have palms facing up. It's just hard to maneuver. I've got my hands down, I can bend my wrist like that, that's fine. So I want to carry more weight with my back arm, like this hand's off, so this is going to really steer the film. Okay, so I'm going to lead with that front edge. I want to try and put it on with, you know, maybe 1/2 inch gap on the bottom and that front edge. The back I'm not too concerned about. I'm just going to slide this down slowly. So I've got a gap here still, I'm not trying to feed it in. Once it's down past the top edge, slide it forward, back comes on fine. You've got to think, so the piece of film's bigger than our opening, so if we're installing a piece of glass, you can't just push it straight in. You need to kind of maneuver it in, so that's why with this we lead with our front edge, bring it in, and then drop the back up, and then we can move it around. Okay, so now to install it. At the start, especially when you're learning, or find out the shop what the standard is. You can have a nice little drop edge where you put maybe like a hairline gap. It's perfectly fine at the start. It's not about getting a top edge amazing. It's about getting film on glass. The more film you get on, you can work on your top edge a little bit later, but for now it's really important that you just keep getting film on and getting experience holding the film, handling it, and putting it on. So I want to hold my top left edge, okay, squeegee across. When I squeegee now, I'm probably putting about maybe 50% of the pressure. I don't want to just jam it right in there, okay, it's more just letting it set now. Okay. So now to the cornering card. So with the cornering card, this is obviously a gold card, cut diagonal. I can use that just to push in that edge and to push in here. Okay, so now that's pretty much locked on. I'm just going to give it one little spray, and with the Blue Max, just center out. One more swipe again. Okay. So now that top's done, I don't want to worry about the bottom just yet. A little bit of pressure out. Okay, so you can see the top's done. Now we'll focus on the bottom. A little bit of moisture. I'm going to run straight down the middle. Okay, so now we've created a T. So any curve we can stretch out. So work my way to the edge, just overlapping by 50% each time. That's done. Swipe the edges across the bottom. Got a little finger here that's popped up, or a spear. Just push that out. Take that out to the edge. If that keeps popping back, we can heat it with a heat gun and it'll sit down fine. Just a gentle wipe. Obviously, if we were doing this one, remove this. It's protected our door trim, our door panel, and that's ready to go. So with that technique, if someone's talking about the slide down method or bottom loading, that's what we're talking about.